What is up, NFC East football fans, and welcome into another edition of the NFC East Roundtable, powered by BetUS. Week 7 in the books, only 2 games in the NFC East this past weekend, 2 blowouts in the NFC East this past weekend. We saw 3 teams. The Dallas Cowboys were on a bye, but in classic Cowboys fashion, there's still plenty to talk about in terms of what's going on off the field with Dallas. We'll talk about that later in the show, but we'll dive into the games we saw over the weekend, including an interdivisional battle between KB and Eagle Al. I think we all know by now how that one went. And then the man who stands alone continues to stand alone, even with Marcus Mariota stands alone. Rio and my man Jay Tuck coming off that bye, looking to get right this upcoming Sunday against a ravished with injury San Francisco 49ers team. Should be a hell of a game on Sunday Night Football. But before we can get into week 8, we got to talk about what we saw in week 7. Right now on BetUS, by the way, you might be interested to see what these current odds are to win the NFC East. Here it is right on your screen. The current favorite, the Philadelphia Eagles. I know Rio's got something to say about that. The Eagles.
I ain't mad at it.
You're right there. Look at these numbers. I mean, that is an eyelash. We got the Eagles at plus 125, the Commanders at plus 130, the Cowboys all the way down at plus 450. And folks, you're not hearing things when I tell you $100 on the New York Giants would win you $10,000. The New York Giants
neighbors, man.
10,000. So the Giants, as you can tell, it's not looking great, but man, it is anybody's game right now at the top, and the betting odds reflect that. So plus money for everybody. It's pretty rare territory at this point of the year, nearing the halfway point. So you're going to want to make sure to get in on whoever you think is going to end up taking the East. You can do that by using the promo code YouTube150. That'll get you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, up to $2,000, and 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits after that. All right, let's get into what we saw this past weekend, fellas, and we're going to start as KB leaves the screen. I don't blame him because he knows where I'm going right now. KB knows I'm going to start with the interdivisional battle this past weekend between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. Now, I don't think anybody would have been shocked if you predicted the Eagles to win this game, but the Eagles weren't playing their best ball. They weren't dominating anybody. We even saw that on display against the Cleveland Browns. And then you're starting to wonder, well, with these Eagles, are they going to be able to get back to what we once thought these Eagles were? And with the Giants, their defense playing dominant, right? Their offense, they can't keep up, but you still think that any given Sunday, the Giants are going to be competitive. This is why this game this past Sunday, to me, was a bit shocking. The Eagles win 28-3. Jalen Hurts only throws 14 balls, and that's because Saquon Barkley did the lion's share for these Eagles. 176 yards on the ground against his former team in a homecoming game against these New York Giants. Nearly 200 all-purpose yards for Saquon. Just an unreal day for Barkley. Not a great day for his former team. We're going to start with you, Jay Tuck. We all thought that the Eagles would probably win this game. Were you shocked to see the way that they won it and the ability for them to blow out the Giants this way?
Yeah, I know. When we spoke about it on the show last week, I felt like the Giants' defense was their strongest point and would put up a fight. And they didn't put up no fight, man. Saquon whooped them so bad. He actually, showed mercy because I think Nick Sirianni, we saw the clip, was like, hey, you want to go break the record? He was like, nah, man, they had it. Well, he didn't say it that way.
Right.
I'm putting it in J Tuck. I'm translating J Tuck. No, they had enough. Saying I didn't did enough, man. Let the young boys get some opportunity, man. But it was bad. I felt like the Giants defense really didn't show up, and then offensively they continue to struggle. So it's going to be a reoccurring thing. But if the Giants defense isn't stepping up, you know what I'm saying? Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders sweepstakes might be in play for the Giants.
Cam Ward.
That's Cam Ward,
I'm all about Cam Ward.
But here I'll say about Cam Ward, Miami's going to do to Florida State what the Eagles did to the Giants. So I understand where you're coming from, Kid Blue, this weekend. But yeah, overall, I just think it was just a bad performance from the New York Giants. But, from the Eagles, we all know they were talented. They finally got healthy. They're coming off the bye and everything. So, versus Cleveland Browns. And they play a lot better than a lot of people expected. So they're definitely going to be a talented team. I know the Commanders right now are in first, but I think the Eagles are still going to make that push. It's just keeping all the distractions away from Philadelphia. But once it clicks, man, it clicks, and it shows the talent that they have on this roster. Or it could be Saquon. I mean, hell, Vontae Smith, he even had to play. Jalen Hurts didn't have to play, but that's the power of just having a talented roster. Just people step up in different moments that can win you ball games on their own. So, sorry, KB. I don't know what to tell you, man, but it was a massacre.
I mean, you said it, Jay Tuck. Devontae Smith had one catch for -2 yards in this game, and they won by 25.
I thought my fantasy app was broken. Like, I kept refreshing. You connect to the Wi-Fi or something, bro.
Drew Phillips, man. Drew Phillips is a really good rookie, man. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
But Jay Tuck, you put it perfectly. If the Giants defense shows up, then there's not going to be any Giants at all that show up, and that's exactly what happened this past weekend. But when you saw this Giants D go against the Bengals, you're like, man, this is as good of a defense as I've seen all week long here. And this front four might be one of the best in the league. It's just the offense can't get there. You saw this past weekend. Mm-hmm. If this defense doesn't play up to the caliber that it did against the Bengals in that game, the Giants just don't seem to stand a chance. So, Rio, you're watching this game. What's your biggest takeaway from A, how the Eagles were able to get the job done, and then B, the overall state of the Giants? Because I think maybe a couple weeks going into this game, we didn't quite know, but this seemed to be awfully telling.
So I remember seeing what was happening in this game on NFL Red Zone. That score doesn't tell the entire story of the game, but I will say the Falcons are so happy that someone else took 28-3 away from them so they can breathe for a second. They don't have to be the only one who get war flashbacks when those numbers come up. If Daniel Jones could offer any resistance at all, that's a close football. You're looking at 28-3. You say the Giants got destroyed from the opening kick. It was a sack fest for both sides for a half of football. The Eagles and Giants were right there, but Daniel Jones stinks. They have no offense. And Saquon said, you know what? I'm a body bag the organization that should have did everything they could to keep me there. And he went crazy on them boys. So it's easy to look at the scoreboard and say the Eagles are back. Oh, my God. But you watched and you see the context of the game. They were struggling for a minute in that game. It took Philly a while to get going. But once they did get going, there was nothing an offensive-less football team could do. But I don't think it's going to be that same thing when Joe Burrow's on that field on Sunday. So Philadelphia better not think that first half versus New York was enough to take Joey B out on Sunday. But poor Giants, man. KB, you deserve so much better, my guy.
Maybe the Cam Ward stinky celebrations a shot at Daniel Jones, man. Maybe that, you know what I'm saying?
I need y'all to run it back for life with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I know. Man.
He just doesn't give y'all a chance, man, because the Eagles gave y'all a half to say, I mean, what y'all trying to do? If y'all want to have a game, here you go. But then once eventually they started clicking on offense, it was curtain.
Yeah, it's a good point you bring up, Rio. The Eagles were 1 of 13 on third down in this game. It's just the Giants couldn't stop the run, but it's besides the point when we're talking defense, because if you look at these numbers, the Giants had 119 total yards of offense in this game, averaging just over 2 yards per play. And I'm sure you guys see the tweet all the time. I think I could get, if I was given 4 plays, I could get 5 yards in the NFL. An actual full team of NFL players was incapable of getting more than 2 yards per play in this game. And it's not like the Eagles defense had been world beaters going into this one either. That's the other thing. They haven't been playing up to perhaps what they thought they would be with their latest draft picks. But Al, you're watching this defense in this game. I don't know how much of it was the ineptness of the Giants or the ability for the Eagles to step up, but either way, you had to be feeling real good about what you saw on Sunday.
Absolutely. And let's give the defense some grace. The past 2 games, they haven't allowed the touchdown. They've been looking really good. So, Rio, the first quarter, we've been struggling. We are the worst team in the first quarter for some reason, but we got the second best offense, second, third, and fourth quarter. So that's what we do. We start slow. I'm not sure what's going on with the first 15 scripted plays with the Philadelphia Eagles, but I don't know what clicked in their head. Like, let's just run the ball on these guys. They can't stop the run. And we just kept it going and going and going and going. And then when it seemed like they slowed down the run, just throw it to A.J. Brown. He's one-on-one. So that looked like that was the formula. You guys were dominant on our offensive line because we did miss 2 guys. We missed our left tackle and our right guard, so we just decide to just run the ball. But Brian Burns was back there like a lot because Jalen Hurts right now he's taking a lot of criticism. Like, you missed that guy, that guy. I'm like, well, if you look, he's about to get sacked, so he's trying to protect the ball. But you guys' defensive line is still dominant. Dexter Lawrence was back there, and again, Brian Burns was back there a lot. So I like what I seen from the offense. We stuck with the run game surprisingly because we get pass happy, and the defense was stifling up Giants' offense.
It's pretty impressive to be able to score 28 and only throw the ball 14 times. You don't see that all that often, but like you mentioned, they didn't have to do it. The run game was going, and when the Giants match you with their inability to put up anything on offense, you're in for a decent day, especially on the ground, milking the clock. Tudo's coming in, KB, as we transition to you.
Tudo.
He's saying, much love and respect to KB and all diehard Giants fans across the pond. Greetings from our entire rugby club to KB, and we say, forget about it. Tudo also has another one coming in. He's saying, KB, please suit up in Giants gear, and I promise you, you won't be our O-lines or our ball carriers or quarterback walk off the pitch down on our own powers. I think he's saying that you can go out there and probably do as well as what the Giants.
He wants to go out there because he's a rugby player.
Why don't you both go out there at this point? Because KB, let me ask, this has got to just suck. Because you're solely invested in this, and you understand losing. You understand the team's not as great as you want them to be. But, man, 119 yards of offense. What was it like just sitting back watching this, and where were you at in the middle of it, and what was the takeaway?
I'm glad that we're all here today. Like, we're focused on the Giants because this has been my life for the past 10 years. The Giants find ways to lose in extraordinary ways, like insane stats where a quarterback could throw for 114 yards and still win 28-6. The Giants just find ways to go down in a game, even if it's close. I think Rio talked about it earlier that it was close in the first quarter. The Eagles continue their streak of not scoring a single point in the first quarter so far this season. I thought that streak was going to break because it's the Giants. I thought it was going to be the opening drive touchdown for the Eagles, but that wound up not being the case. But, man, the Giants couldn't get anything going, and Daniel Jones is a huge part of that. Play calling also, not the best play calling, not the best play designs versus a cover four that I seen from Brian Dable. They really didn't attack the short game at all. I don't know what it was. They were just getting aggressive. They were throwing vertical routes all over the place, trying to get some big plays with Malik Neighbors now that he is back, but it just wasn't working. And running the ball, the Giants only ran the ball 3 times in the first half with their running backs. That is inexcusable. It doesn't matter how good of a team, how good of a defense is at stopping the run. The Giants weren't really getting much going on the run when they did run the ball, but you got to keep the run going to keep the defense honest to help open up that passing game a little bit, and it just they weren't doing that. The defense today, that game was a clear indicator that it doesn't matter what your strength is on a team, if the rest of the team does not help out, even the biggest strengths of your team are not going to look good. A defensive line for the Giants is the best part of the team, and it just wasn't enough to get the job done or even keep the game close. You have a lot of stupid errors that from the coaches, like the defensive coordinator calling cover 1 on a 4th down and 2 with Nick McLeod by himself on A.J. Brown. What do you think is going to happen? I would have said the same thing. Heads. Come on, like we're going deep. Nick McLeod, for crying out loud. I don't even know why he was out there in the first place. And, and that was a 4th down play. Like, the Eagles were just that confident. I don't know how far they were, how far it was that they couldn't, try a field goal with Jake Elliott. But either way, they were just balling on us. And Saquon Barkley, he's a whole nother subject to talk about too. Saquon Barkley was a yard short of his record, and that record came versus the Commanders. At the time, it was the Redskins when he put up like 178 yards on you guys in like one half, and then he sat down the rest of the game. But good old vintage Saquon. It's bittersweet because I'm a huge Saquon guy. I love Saquon Barkley. I still love Saquon Barkley. I'm happy that he's succeeding, but man, I hate that he did that against the Giants. And he is kind of humble. He said that this isn't a revenge game. He said that going into the game. This is not a revenge game, and this is just another game. And he said, of course, that there's gonna be some other emotions into it, but like, man, he killed us. He definitely did. And
Burned his
at
jersey,
home,
then he burnt y'all, man.
yeah, and then
Yeah, they
you
got
had
him mad.
you had Saquon Eagles jerseys hanging from the stands, man, and he was signing. I was livid. I was livid. But yeah, that's just where the Giants are right now. And hopefully, if this continues to happen, I don't want to lose close games. I want to lose in blowouts like this because it's going to show the Giants ownership, show the Giants management that they're not doing enough. Something needs to change, and it has to start at the quarterback position. We're hearing some things right now with John Mara and Daniel Jones. Hopefully that turns into something because there needs to be a change, man. It's enough. Enough is enough. We can't have a $40 million quarterback and him throwing for 99 yards and looking like absolute garbage out there, to be honest.
God, he's terrible.
The problem here too, KB, is you're going to take that game into a game in Pittsburgh where they play as good a defense as anybody. So what happens on Tuesday morning when this happens again?
Do you want to hear another crazy thing? Giants Twitter is going to explode on Tuesday morning because Russell Wilson, when he left, I believe either the Seahawks or when he left I don't know if it was when he left the Broncos or the Seahawks, but there was real talks of Russell Wilson joining the New York Giants, and apparently Russell Wilson even met with the New York Giants, and they couldn't agree on a contract because Russell Wilson wasn't given the nod as like he's automatically the starter. Like he would have to compete with Daniel Jones and all that other stuff. And so Russell Wilson decided not to go to New York. So that's going to look even worse if we go against Russell Wilson on Monday and he balls on us as well. Even though Russell Wilson was never a Giant, he was very close to becoming one in one of those off seasons, and it's going to look even worse. So not going to be great. Not going to be great.
With that, the trade deadline coming up, they already announced the Giants aren't going to make a move. Do you think that there's something on the horizon here that's drastic, or do you think that whatever happens, it's not going to happen until the end of the year?
I don't. As far as coaching, there's a big news with John Mara. He spoke at some Duke thing that they're doing with NFL Films. I don't know what they're doing, but he was talking about the coaching and the front office. They said they're not going to make any changes yet, but we've seen in years past he said this, and Joe Judge was fired. He said this, and Dave Gettleman was fired. So we'll wait to see what happens there. But as far as the roster goes, we may see them be sellers before the trade deadline. Azeez Ojulari, Darius Slayton, maybe guys to get moved. I don't see them being buyers. I think they know that this season is kind of in the gutter right now. So as far as immediate changes, I don't think it's going to happen yet, but we may see something in the offseason to that effect.
How about a QB change?
I mean, that is right. A 99% sure that should happen. And I hope all of us in this fan base absolutely rebel and riot against the New York Giants if that doesn't happen, because they are putting so much generosity into Daniel Jones. They treat him like he's an 8-year-old child. Like he just doesn't know any better. We just got to surround him with talent. You don't hear that with every other highly paid quarterback. If you're paid $40 million, you got to be the reason why this team wins games. It shouldn't be your receiver, shouldn't be your offensive line. And to that effect, the Giants have done that. They've put a good offensive line behind them. It's not elite, but it's pretty damn good. Their worst game was against this Eagles team, and they've been playing good up to this point. And the receivers are good. I mean, they got some drop problems, but adding Malik Neighbors is a huge plus. There can't be any more excuses for Daniel Jones. I don't know what possibly they can muster up to defend Daniel Jones. They can't keep bringing up that Minnesota game, that playoff game anymore, man. It's not even just the fans that do it. It's the front office defending him and saying all these crazy things about, what he's done for the franchise, when treating him like Eli when he is no Eli.
But do you think that they'll have the wherewithal to actually do something about it, as opposed to perhaps a Cleveland situation? Not that they're comparable, but in the same regard that before Deshaun Watson got hurt, they wanted to make a move, but they never were going to make a move because of the contract given to Deshaun Watson. They want to be able to justify what they did. Do you think they'll be able to admit this isn't going to work out and then be able to move on? Or do you think that they're just going to try to ride it till the wheels fall off?
I think at this point, that should definitely happen, where they say, let's cut our losses. We messed up on this one. We're going to have to move on, because it's going to look a lot worse if Daniel Jones continues to play the way he's playing and he lives out his contract. That shows the, I guess, the lack of awareness from the organization and just trying to prove that they are right, and they're going to prove themselves a lot more wrong than right if they allow Daniel Jones to complete his contract. And I think last year him being hurt, tearing his ACL, really helped him because it told our organization and that he needs another chance, that he needs another go. He tore his ACL. Everybody was beat up. The offensive line was decimated last year. He needs another chance, and that was this year. There's no more excuses this year. We have the weapons. We have the offensive line. If you're not putting up numbers, then you got to go. And I think that now in this year, the GM and the owner are now realizing that, we messed up on this one. We're going to have to change the quarterback. Hopefully it does happen, dear God.
Let's transition from the G-Men and the Eagles game to the lone other game in the East this past weekend, and that's Rio's Commanders. No Jaden Daniels, no problem. Marcus Mariota comes in and caps off an utterly dominant performance for the Washington Commanders. These Carolina Panthers, God bless them. I don't know if it gets much worse than them in the last 20-ish years or so. This is brutal what we're seeing, but the Commanders took full advantage. 40-7, the final in Washington. Status, of course, up in the air right now for Jaden Daniels going into the Chicago game after hurting his ribs on the first drive in this game. But Marcus Mariota comes in, plays well, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. They ran the ball decent, and this defense shut down Carolina. Less than 100 passing yards, less than 100 rushing yards. It was just dominance from top to bottom all throughout the game. Jay Tuck, I'll start with you. These Commanders, I feel like even though it's against Carolina, this is a team that they were similar to not all that long ago. Now with a backup quarterback, look what they're capable of. What did you take away from this game?
Yeah, that would be my number one takeaway, man. if I'm a Carolina's Panther, I'm like, that's supposed to be us, but that's why we drafted Bryce Young. Like, but man, I just it's crazy. We kind of go back to this offseason. We kind of spoke about the Commanders, and it's like, damn, I wish I would have put money on them to win the NFC East way back then when I had this idea. But they're playing great football across the board, right? To lose Jaden Daniels and still have this performance, I know it's the Carolina Panthers, but you still got to go out there and perform because the Carolina Panthers, they don't have talent, but they're scrappy. But to 40 burger them with a backup quarterback, y'all, like I don't know, like this Marcus Mariota. So you're seeing the confidence kind of just ooze to the Commanders, right? They're kind of feeling it. And sometimes when you have that guy who's that guy, it just oozes through the locker room, and also what Dan Quinn and what Clinton has as well. So man, I don't know, y'all. I mean, it's crazy that we're sitting here pretty much in November, and I have to say the Commanders are the most consistent team in the NFC East. Like, I know everyone expected Cowboys and Eagles. Sorry, Kid Blue. We didn't expect much from y'all, but it's too high.
Either. It's okay.
Too high and too low. Like, the Eagles and the Cowboys are Jekyll and Hyde. Like, you never know what you're going to get from Sunday to Sunday, but it seems like the Commanders have this steady trend, and actually they're ascending upward, and their confidence is building. It's going to be up for the Cowboys and Eagles to really put them down. Like, I don't know if we have to do the fusion dance or something, but as of right now, they're looking like the team to beat in the NFC East, man, because I said, even though it's the Carolina Panthers, that was a good victory. So, yikes. I don't know. And then I feel like they're going to make a move. I just feel that they're going to make a move because they're starting to feel like, okay, we wasn't planning on going all in, but hey, we right there. So I would not be shocked if the Commanders make another move or two to kind of help put them in position. They kind of remind me of last year's Green Bay team, but I think since they're in the NFC East, they're a lot louder because Green Bay was a solid team. Like, they beat teams like Kansas City, but like they never really got the credit until they really beat Dallas. I think that everyone's going to see this young Commanders team starting to emerge, and they're going to be trouble, especially what you saw what happened with Tampa, with having some injuries. So they're going to be a team to beat, not only in the NFC East, but might in the NFC.
Then again,
KB, what were your thoughts on the Commanders?
I mean, but it's really just the NFC is really just the Lions in them. Like, I mean, after that, because with Tampa Bay with no Godwin and what's going to happen with Mike Evans, like, it's wide open. So you're going to have Commanders, Packers, Vikings, so it's just like
Philly.
Hell, I mean, who knows? It depends on Philly, whoever shows up. You know what I'm
Quick
saying?
exit for Philly.
We
But
stay healthy, we'll be all right, man. We get healthy now. You see what we
Oh,
can do.
my bad, San Francisco. We'll talk about
I
them
don't
in
know
a
about
second.
San Fran,
Yeah, we'll
but
talk about them in a second.
The body bag Niners.
Bang, bang.
but man, listen, Washington, I'm telling you, seeing what the Giants are going through right now. I hate to make this about the Giants, but seeing what the Giants are going through right now with their quarterback situation and watching Jaden Daniels. I know Jaden Daniels didn't get to play most of this game, but you see kind of the culture that he's now a part of, and they're winning games, and it's. You would not know what you're talking about if you were saying that Jaden Daniels wasn't a part of that winning culture. It wasn't a part of even that team winning the game without him being on the field. Jaden Daniels is definitely a part of that. And I swear, every time I watch the Commanders, I'm like, damn, bro, that should be us. It should be us. I love Malik Neighbors, but man, I would take
What's your
Jaden
song?
Daniels,
That
man.
should be us holding
Yes,
you
that should be me. Yo, man. Oh gosh, I hate it. But listen, the Commanders, I never thought this day would come. The Giants are legitimately the worst team in the NFC East, and it's not even close. Like there's no debate about it. So, the Commanders absolutely beat up on the Panthers, and man, the Panthers, whew, that team is so bad. To have Marcus Mariota come in and just absolutely dot them up, and two passing touchdowns on them, maybe a run or two, and the defense is starting to come alive as well. I don't know how good maybe Rio can expand on that, how the secondary is doing, but that was a huge, I guess, concerning point of the team, and it seems like they're doing okay. Their defense has proven in a couple of games that they can shut an offense down. So it's not just the offense and Jaden Daniels or Marcus Mariota in this case that is just putting up points. It's the defense also keeping the team from putting up points as well. So the Commanders are really coming strong, and yeah, I think they're definitely the favorite in the NFC East, and we'll see if they push far enough in the playoffs. If like I said, if they face up a team against the Vikings or the Lions to start, I think they'll have a quick exit. But if they go against a team like the Buccaneers, who may win the division, or San Francisco is vulnerable right now. They don't really know. We don't really know what's going on with them. That happens. I mean, they can make it far in the playoffs, and as J-Tuck just said, it is the Panthers, but you did it with Marcus Mariota.
Right. Yeah.
They put 40 points on their head. What was it, 40-7?
40-7.
My God!
And we showed mercy. We could have extended drives. We were just settling for field goals just out of mercy at the end of the game.
Yeah, over
and it was
400
just dominant,
yards.
just a dominant performance. 2 interceptions, a couple of sacks, just a dominant performance by that defense. So, we're waiting to see.
I'll go ahead and let us know what you thought about the Panthers game, man.
Man, y'all did what y'all was supposed to do against the Panthers. 40-7. I think y'all got a defensive touchdown too. Look, I get it. The Commanders new, fresh. They getting their wins and they look good, but I'm sorry, man. Y'all got to accuse them of the same thing y'all accuse us of. Y'all say we beat up on easy teams. They are too. When we seen them play the Bucks healthy, seen them play the Bucks healthy, they lost 37-20.
And week 1.
They played the Giants and won by all field goals.
Say one more time. W-O-N. Say that one more time.
Say it one more time. Okay. Y'all played the Bucks week 1. 37-20 loss. I'm just saying, y'all beat the Giants, but it took all field goals. Mind you, we beat a bad team and it didn't look that well. That was the Cleveland Browns. Y'all said, well, that don't look too.
Yeah, because y'all have a top 4 roster in football. We won 4 games last year. We're supposed to be these teams we're killing. Y'all are supposed to be a juggernaut.
I understand, but we've been unhealthy. Now we're healthy. Oh, okay. We lost to Atlanta, and that was like a Saquon drop. Do we catch the pick 6 in the first quarter? Like, what could have happened? I'm just saying, if you're gonna accuse the Eagles of beating up on easy teams and they winning, Can we have the same grace for like Washington? Like we got to wait and see until they play competition. But they are handling their food. You only can play who's on your schedule, and they are beating up on those teams. But I
Here's
just
the
gotta wait and
scary
see. I
part,
think we
Al.
play them like next month. I think we will be the total poll Eagles versus Commanders. But Commanders
Here's
did
the
what they were
scary
supposed
part,
to
though.
do.
They got a bunch more of those teams on their schedule, though. Say like that's
I mean,
that's
that's the same for us too. Like we got Jacksonville. I think Bengals are the hardest team that we play. And it was a dogfight with them too. 38-33. I don't think so.
The
I think our
Bengals
defensive
are a
line
good
is gonna
team too. They started bad, but we need to all relax on the Bengals.
I'm not saying they're a bad team. I'm saying
I
I
can't say
believe in my
not
team more.
nobody's team right
We
now.
almost beat them. we almost beat them.
I don't think Chase get off like that on Quayon and Darius Slay. I just don't. They've been playing really, really good football. And then our defensive line is coming to life because that was my biggest concern. Bryce Huff is coming to life. Josh Sweat, Jalen Carter starting to find himself. We starting to, phase out Jordan Davis, and we got like Morrow, Jomo, other guys coming in, and they're doing their job. So, I mean, it's going to be a fight with the Bengals. But back to the Commanders, they doing what they're supposed to do to the opponents that they are playing on their schedule.
Speaking of which, Rio, talk to me. What did you see this past Sunday? I know Jaden goes down, but you still had to be impressed with the team's ability to rally like that.
Absolutely. And to get back to Eagle Owl's point too, like
hold on.
You spin the block.
we were the second worst team in the NFL last year. We lost 8 games in a row to close. We were 4-13. We come in 24 new players, 14 new starters, a new front office, a new coaching staff, and a rookie quarterback with a win-loss over-under in Vegas at 5.5 games. We are at 5 wins through 7 weeks of the season. So we're allowed the grace of beating bad teams. We've only been favorites 2 out of 7 weeks so far. So we're not just beating teams, we're beating the shit out of these bad teams. The Browns that y'all struggled with last week, we beat them 34-13, and we left meat on the bone. We should have put
the
up
Giants
50
that we just
Browns.
blew out. Y'all just beat them by all field goals. I'm just saying.
We're going to get our get back.
Yeah, y'all are not. I promise.
Wait till Tommy DeVito play. Tommy DeVito gonna play in this one.
It's a different ball game. It's just when you look at the full body and the picture of it, nobody in this division is playing consistent football like us. Like even our hardest competition, we're gonna see what we look like versus competition. We went blow for blow with the Ravens. Jaden Daniels had it within 1 touchdown with 3 minutes to go, but our defense just couldn't get off the field. And Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, we're the 2 hottest offenses in the league. The only offenses in the league that have 218 points scored, 31 points a game. That's Baltimore and us. Us 2 and the Lions, we're playing better offense than everybody in the league. Never in my life have I seen my team score 31 points a game. We played the Panthers without our starting quarterback. And by the way, just to give y'all an update, that boy's fine. That boy's fine. If we were playing one of your teams in December with a playoff spot on the line, he would have came out the tunnel like Stone Cold. He would have came out the tunnel like Stone Cold Steve. When they told him to go to the locker room and get checked out, he slammed his helmet like the world was ending. Like he wanted to go back in the game. He got his rib protector caught up in his ribs on a tumble. First play of the game, 50-yard scramble as he's giving himself up. He got tackled and his body got curled up. His flak jacket rolled into his rib cage. There's no structural damage. There's no cartilage damage. They didn't even say it's a bruise. So he's built like a broomstick. He's 6'4", 210. You already know he's built like a tree branch. That's just who he is. So it's going to feel a little bit. He got a little dingy, man. It happened to him in LSU as well. But
that run looked like LSU run too. That was an LSU run.
Hell yeah. First play of the game. Read off the keeper for 47. It was beautiful. We would have scored 50 if he stayed in that game. But the biggest point wasn't even Marcus Mariota. Like, our defense is starting to gain confidence because they're the Achilles heel of this team. They're starting to buy into the program, and everything Adam Peters brought in here this offseason, we're already starting to see production from. Dante Fowler Jr., pick 6 on the first drive of the game, and a sack, and a tackle for loss. 4.5 sacks on the season. Frankie Louvu, who we use as like a Costco brand Micah Parsons, as all backer and a part-time rusher. He has 4 sacks. He leads all linebackers in the NFL with 4 sacks. We didn't even have Dorrance Armstrong, so we were wondering how we were going to get to Andy Dalton on Sunday. Armstrong's been out for 2 games. He still has 3 sacks on the season. Cleveland Farrell has 2 sacks. So everything Cleveland Farrell, everything Adam Peters brought in here this year, we're seeing production from. Bobby Wagner, balling. Jeremy Chin has been balling ever since the first 2 weeks of the season. Zach Ertz caught his first touchdown of the year. He's on the pace to have about 700 yards this year. Zach Ertz, yes, he's turning back the clock this year. We're starting to see rookies flash each week. Last week, Mikey Sanders still had a pick. This week, he's balling out, but Ben Sinnott comes in for his first catch and touchdown of his career. You're seeing the plan come into motion. No Jaden Daniels, no problem. We ran for over 200 again. We threw for over 200. Again, the offense continues to move. We're efficient. We're still 100% on 4th down this year. 9 of 9. We've converted every 4th down conversion. And not all of them were like 2 or 3 yards. Some of them were like 6 or 7 yards. This offense is as efficient as any offense I've ever seen Washington have. So somebody got to stop us at some point. And we got a good matchup coming up this weekend, and I think 5 is going to play. So we're going to see.
I hope he does. That was the matchup of the weekend, in my opinion, just in terms of watching those 2 rookies show off against each other. I hope Jaden's going to be able to go. I know he didn't practice today, Rio, but you got to think he's going to want to go in there and play in that game against Caleb Williams. So we shall see. The Bears also have a terrific defense. So it could be a tough outing for Washington from that regard, but still Washington playing about as good as anybody right now. RG Kicks is saying, come on, Al, barbecue chicken, Chase and T will cook. Thoughts on that, Rio?
I would love to see that because I seen what T could do. First of all, T Higgins going to be a commander next year. So brace yourself. He's going to be in the division next year because we got money to blow. We're about to come off a 10-win possible division crown with $120 million of cap that we're sitting on next offseason. But I think the Bengals are going to beat the Eagles. But we're going to talk about that when we preview these games.
No doubt. By the way, I thought that was intended for you, Rio, but it was intended for Al. So Al, give it to you, your thoughts. Yeah, I misread it.
Look, that's not going to happen. Look, Darius Slay was top 5 in allowing separation. Like nobody's getting no separation on Darius Slay right now. And then you got Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, what can I say? He's the top rookie. He should be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. He just got to get the turnovers. But I see him lock up Mike Evans. I see him lock up the guys at Green Bay. I mean, he been tested and he's been balling.
Before we wrap up, we got to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, no doubt. I'm looking forward to that game, by the way. That's going to be, I think that's a low key. I don't even think low key, but going into Sunday, it's not the greatest slate this weekend. That Bengals-Eagles game, I'm really looking forward to. I don't think we have no idea what the Bengals are, and we're starting to find out, I think, what the Eagles are, and we'll see what winds up happening on Sunday. Definitely one of the better games of the weekend. A team that didn't play this past weekend that will be playing on Sunday Night Football this upcoming weekend, the Dallas Cowboys. Before we wrap up here, I know we don't have a game to talk about, but man, J-Tuck, it's just every week at this point. And this past week with the bye, you had like 3 stories come out where Troy Aikman's got something to say about Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones backs him up. Now you have this story come out about how the players are essentially hamsters inside of a display case at the facility for the fans to go and just kind of look at like goldfish in a tank. Just what is it like right now for you? What is it like right now for you in the middle of, the way that they're playing, having all this stuff week after week just continuously pile up, even when you're on a bye week?
It's miserable. So let me. It really is. I mean, and I'm not even going to hear and sugarcoat it. Cowboys Nation, y'all know this is embarrassing, right? We've been getting dog walked at home. We had the Detroit Lions out there putting left tackles at wide receiver. Hell, if I would have been at the game, I'm sure Campbell would say, "Yo, Tuck, you want to run a route or two, bro?" And I would have put on my cleats and probably would have went out there and got in the end zone. What's going on in Dallas right now is everything we've been talking about for so many years, pretty much since I've been doing content, is starting to happen. The foundation has always been shaky, and now it's falling down. I always give the Cowboys fans this analogy. I built a bar in my basement, right? And my wife was like, "Oh, you need these screws and instructions." I was like, "No, I got it. Put the bar together. As soon as you open the cabinet, that shit was just shaking. It's just like, all right, bro, you didn't listen to the instructions and you didn't build a strong foundation, so you need to tear it down and rebuild." So I had to spend a whole nother weekend and rebuild my bar, and now my bar is solid. It's the same thing when it comes to the Cowboys. So let me ask y'all, do y'all teams allow stadium tours so I can go and watch your players work out and, eat in the cafeteria and I can go in their locker rooms? Does anybody else's team offer that?
That's what they do?
You didn't know? Don't nobody want to come to the Northwest. So
so y'all didn't know, right?
Yeah, so the zoo analogy was right.
No, the zoo analogy is 1,000% real.
I was only get a tour for season tickets over here.
I remember, so like you can watch the players work out, like they can see.
That's crazy.
They can't see us, but you can see them, so you can watch them work out. So you're staring in the glass mirror, and I remember LVE was power cleaning, and this Cowboys fans was like, LVE, and banging on the glass like it was a bunch of gorillas at the zoo.
Crazy.
And then the players are sitting there eating in the cafeteria. Well,
you can watch them eat.
You can watch them eat. I can get my camera phone out. It's like players get done from working out, they have to stay over to the side because Jay Tuck is in the locker room taking selfies, posted on Instagram. Like it's nothing like I've ever seen in football. And I know there's so many Cowboys fans will defend it. Oh, it's not
NFL Disney.
That's exactly what it is. It's an amusement park, and you're seeing Jerry Jones go on the radio station and lash out. You see him, criticize Mike McCarthy's play calling. Mike McCarthy mentioned that he wanted to talk about changing the personnel, but he had to sit in with Jerry Jones, and you have Troy Aikman speaking out. It's just chaos from top to bottom, and you're not getting the production that you need on the field. So I don't know what's going to happen this Sunday. We'll talk about it here soon, but the foundation of the Dallas Cowboys is unstable and it's cracking and falling apart. But the good part, y'all, the silver lining is they're finally looking the right direction. You're seeing a lot of people talk about Jerry Jones and what he's really built and is not what he sells it to be. And I think a lot of people are finally starting to look at the real problem in Dallas. It's not the players. They play a part, but it's upstairs with the culture of Jerry Jones.
Yep.
Yikes.
Man, it's a lot, but we'll find out Sunday. This is two teams right now. It's very similar in that the Niners and Cowboys are two of the bigger, the Dallas is the biggest brand, but the Niners are a huge brand in the country in terms of a nationwide fan base. And these two fan bases right now have teams that are in turmoil. The Niners have a ton of injuries. Brock Purdy's not playing well, and you go from being in the Super Bowl to now you have a losing record going into this game, and they're trying to get it back on track. And then Dallas, it just feels like if they lose this game, a lot of questions now that they already aren't being asked. They're going to be
Me and Kid Blue draft show.
Huge game.
We need to make a draft show.
Draft show.
Couldn't be me. I'm not going back to that life, damn it.
It's been my life forever.
Me too, man. I'm not going back. This feels too good on this side, man.
Yeah, Rio packed his stuff. He is not going back to where he came from. But for Dallas is in their favor, at least coming off the bye. You got to hope that they put something together, especially with the Niners team as banged up as they are, that they'll be able to go out there and right the ship. And as you mentioned, Jay Tuck, we will be previewing that game on our upcoming episode later in the week, where we'll be talking about all of the games within the division on our Week 8 preview episode. So on the way out the door, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. That way you are notified of all upcoming episodes. And also on your way out the door, as we mentioned earlier, all of the odds for the NFC East division. All the divisional odds, MVP odds, weekly odds, etc., are on BetUS, and you can get in on those lines using the promo code YouTube150, which will get you 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits after that. For KB, Al, Rio, and Jay Tuck, I'm your host, Z-Bot. Thanks so much for tuning into the NFC East Roundtable.